I'm getting hard just thinking about it, bro. I think you might be onto something big here, man. I like this. I like where your head's at.
You loosely grazed the subject of a life-changing LSD experience.
Yes, that is correct. Burning Man. Family vacation to Burning Man.
What happened? What was the trip like?
The trip was, I went to my own funeral. I watched my death play out. Basically, I watched my life play out as a drug addict. This was kind of at like my very, very bottom. And
how old were you?
This was when I was 17, I believe. It was right before my senior year in high school.
You went to Burning Man with your parents at 17.
Yeah, and this is right when I was kind of rekindling my relationship with them, because that summer I had been kicked out. I was doing different hard drugs every day, just mixing them all together as well and selling hard drugs to survive. And my friends were cool enough to let me live at their houses. So it wasn't like I was homeless. I had people that took care of me, but like, you know, it was like a very dark period of my life. And
that's the difference between a homeless person and a couch surfer.
Right.
Is charisma.
And con artistry, which I think you and I both have figured out very well.
No charisma.
But yeah, basically, you know, I was in a very low place, and with that, I was supposed to meet my parents the night of the burn, so I had been kind of doing my own thing, seeing like the concerts and stuff on my own, and like the last night was the night of the burn, and I was supposed to meet with my parents, and the playa is super massive, and there's no, I don't know how it is now, but when I went, there's definitely no cell phone reception, right? Have you been?
No, I consider that a no-fly zone for me.
Bro, I feel like that you would have the time of your life there.
I mean, I know they have like, you know, sober communities there.
You don't
and
need
stuff,
to
like,
be. Are you in a? You can't be around people that partake.
It's not that I can't be around it. I just have to like have a legitimate reason for being there. And it's
Well, it's just like the craziest art performance
Right.
of all time.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
people spend their whole years making these
Okay.
art vehicles that
Okay.
are like, you know, pirate ships driving through.
We'll go to the next one.
I
It's
think
pretty
that,
wild.
I think that's perfectly fair. My other.
You have to go, dude. No, I'm not here to sell you on
Yeah.
it. I only went one time. It's not like I'm a burner. You
Right.
know?
My other prejudice is just that I don't really like being in big crowds.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
It's a lot of work.
But you can wear a disguise, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody's in
And
disguise.
everyone's wearing like things covering their face from the dust. So
Talking about YouTube, we went to this YouTube convention. What was it called? VidCon. And I was like, man, walking around a YouTube convention is going to be a lot of work, dude. I'm going to like get a disguise, you know? And so I went and bought a stormtrooper costume at the costume store. And I go to the VidCon and everybody's stopping me to take pictures with the stormtrooper.
Yeah. You spent too much money on it, dude. You should have got the janky
10
one.
feet, we're like, oh, dude, can we get a picture with you?
Oh, God. You're probably more famous than you, bro.
Yeah.
You fucked up big time.
Yeah. I was like, oh, damn it.
Now you said you saw your funeral. Like get deeper into that.
Okay, so what happened was, anyways, I'm supposed to meet my parents. We missed the rendezvous spot, and basically I brought acid a bunch there thinking, hey, like, I'm going to try to do it with my family. And they were, my parents were kind of open to the idea, but it seemed like it maybe wasn't going to happen. But anyways, like, I take this acid, and I'm supposed to meet up with them at this thing, but I didn't have any water, and I was like, oh, I think I have enough time to go back to where I was staying and get water and come back. I was like, I think I have time to meet them back there before they come here. And I went, and then they were gone. And the people I was with were like, they already left. And then that was when it clicked to me. I'm like, oh, you're not going to be finding your family, because it's just mass chaos the night of the burn. It's always chaos there. But
And you're not allowed to spend money. Everything's barter.
yeah. Pretty much. I mean, you could buy coffee.
I didn't know that.
You can buy coffee and ice and water.
I thought that, like, as I understood it, money's no good. Like,
But you have to pay like a ton of money to get in there, or, you know, 1,000.
Right.
I don't know. It's not cheap. So, but the idea is really cool concept of like sharing and kind of just like trading. But going back to the story. So anyways, the trip starts by me missing my parents, which was supposed to be like a really epic special thing. We all went to Burning Man with the intention to spend this beautiful night together. So I'm just like start frying off out of my mind on acid. And like, I was like, I had like a bunch of the strongest acid I've ever gotten. I bought like half a sheet for my friend, and it was double dosed to begin with. But then I had taken it to some different festivals and things where it was hot, and I was like, okay, there's probably heat damage, this maybe, and I don't know, like, what's the idea behind that I had in my mind, but it was certainly not. And I was like, oh, I'll just take extra. And so I took a bunch, which was like the equivalent of probably 8 tabs or something like that. And I I just fried out of my mind to the point where like the burning was happening of this giant man. He's like 50, I don't know how much, 100 feet tall, some crazy number. He's giant, and they burn this thing. It's like a sacrifice. And then I'm just like, in my mind, all of a sudden, I'm like next to the BBC. There's like real like news sources documenting, and I'm like, oh, I'm here to give a speech. Like in my mind, I thought I was, and I'm like giving the speech about how incredible Burning Man is, and then all of a sudden, there's cameras everywhere around me, like hundreds of them. People are closing in on me with video cameras and news reporters, and I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Like I was having open eye, full on delusional, because I guess what happened was I got hungry, and then I ate a bunch of weed brownies that my parents made. But the weed brownies were so strong that normally you would just pass out, your eyes go bloodshot, but when you're on acid, you don't fall asleep. So it was like, that's probably what pushed the edge to the next level as well, because like it started getting super paranoid, and I think the weed brownies was a big part of that, and also maybe taking the hallucinations to another level, because I never had those types of hallucinations on LSD, but maybe I just never had taken quite enough, you know. But it was so crazy. So they're closing in on me, and I'm like riding this big wheel chopper bike through the desert. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. I'm like cruising down. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if I hit anybody. Like I'm ready to just plow them down. I'm going through, and I start overheating. It's essentially like a PCP type moment. I know you used to dabble.
Yeah, I love that shit.
So I started overheating. I'm like, oh my God, I rip all my clothes off. I'm completely naked. I had a backpack filled with like 1.5 ounces of mushrooms. I just throw everything that I had, the bike down, and I'm just like running, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get, and I think all these like devils and things are trying to kill me, and I'm like, start going into this like dark reality where I'm basically, I at some point like collapse, and my eyes are playing movies. They're open, but I'm just watching movies, and it shows my naked body on the front page of the newspaper, and it's like, boy overdoses at Burning Man. And then I'm transported to my funeral, and I hear all my family's there, my intermediate aunts, uncles, cousins, grandma, and parents, and whatever, and everyone's just weeping. They're like, he was such a good kid, but he did so much drugs. So I essentially had watched my life play out as a drug addict. Like there was a moment before that where I was running, and I went from like this light around me that like, because that day or the day before I found out I was going to play my first big DJ event, so I felt like there was this like light that was around me, and as I ran further and further out into the desert, the light disappeared, and I was just in darkness all alone, and I watched myself age from my childhood to an old, weathered out, old skeleton man. And then at that point I died. It was this whole thing. I watched my life play out as an addict, and then basically I was so high I couldn't even see. I was just watching movies. I'm running through the desert, and there's the outside perimeter fence, which is a snow fence. I couldn't even see it. I was so fucking high, hallucinating these things, that I flip over, my body's covered in blood, like cuts on my dick. I'm sure you know how that is with some of your stunts. Especially the ball sack stapling.
Yeah, I've been there, man.
I keep running though. I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. This is hell. Like I'm trapped in this never-ending rave hell. I thought I was like, there's like all these rave things, and I would be going in circles, and it was just like I thought I was paying for my sins as a raver almost. Like the rave music was just never ending, and I'm like running out there trying to escape this hell realm, and I eventually like, and I'm just. My body's like, I'm trying to rip. When I was on the ground, I try to hit I think I'm dead, right? But my body is still going. I don't understand it exactly, but it was almost as if my brain had been destroyed and my body was still going. So I was on the ground, hitting my head against the bottom desert floor, which is incredibly hard. And I was hitting my head, pulling on my hair, trying to pull my brain out of my head. And so it was this crazy thing. So my head's now warped. I'm covering cuts. I'm running as far as I can. My feet are covered in cuts because I'm running on rocks and stuff. And eventually at a certain point I came down enough and I'm like, there's nothing out here. And I see the light in the distance, like miles out. I could have easily died. It's like freezing out there, and it's like probably 2 a.m. in the morning. And I'm just like running out there, and then I'm like, there's something in the distance. I was like, I gotta go to the light.
And that was the Burning Man.
The Burning Man had already been burnt, but the actual event, the festival is filled with lights and craziness. So I was running towards that. I saw it in the distance.
Yeah, they have like a big Ferris wheel kind of.
They got everything you could imagine. But yeah, I'm saying like giant rubber ducky discotheques. You know, it's just like a crazy art scene.
See, we could have this RV there and just like kick it in the RV.
You could interview all the people out of their mind on ketamine.
Yeah.
But long story short, then I like hopped over this fence because I could see again, and I'm running in, and all of a sudden, woo, 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 there's like a ranger. Basically, they have people guarding the perimeter. This was like when I had come down enough that my mind was melted, but I could still see again. And they were like, "Did you just sneak in?" I was like fully naked. I was like, "Sneak in from where?" Like, so I like run into the thing, and now I'm like entering into a party of 60,000 people. I'm completely naked, and I don't have my clothes, and I'm like streaking through this party.
what happened to the backpack full of mushrooms?
Lost it all.
I was thinking about that.
It was crazy because mushrooms, I used to sell mushrooms, and there were mushrooms that I was going to sell to people, and then my parents found them. That was part of like the reason too. Like that was part of around that era was like when I got kicked out, and basically they gave me the mushrooms back to like, give it away to people at Burning Man. So it was always supposed to be a gift to the burners. But anyways, long story short, I come back and I'm like freezing after hours. I'm covered in cuts. My mind's fried out of just completely useless. I couldn't even remember where I was staying if I wanted to. And so I was just walking around freezing. And this woman, I started like weeping. I was just had hit such a crazy rock bottom. And this woman's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Not really. I don't really know where to go. I lost everything. I don't know where I'm staying." And she's like, "Oh, come with me." And like, she took me back and like her friends were there and they gave me this giant cloak. And then they gave me like some water and some cookies. They nurtured me. That's the cool thing at Burning Man. Everyone's kind of looking out for each other. You know, there's a lot of like love in the air. And maybe that's not everyone. There's a lot of random people who show up and are there to frat bro party out or whatever. But the core is kind of this like very loving experience.
Are the people like bartering sex and shit?
I don't think so, but there's definitely orgies and stuff like that.
And there's probably like 6-foot nitrous tanks with real sketchy people around.
You would be in heaven, back old you.
Yeah. Do you like shopping on Amazon? I do. And good news is, Steve-O's butt wipes for your butthole are available on Amazon. And if you want a real bundle of a deal, you can get Steve-O's hot sauce for your butthole, plus Steve-O's butthole destroyer, and Steve-O's butt wipes for your butthole. It's the butthole bundle, available on Amazon right now.
Yeah, dude.